All right, good morning and welcome to our first assembly. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up top, which you can see it's actually half assembled from the thumbnail, but I did delete that in order to reassemble it. So what I'm going to do is open up my top drawing here, right? And we're going to use that one just so that it is our first piece that's in. It says there's an update, but shouldn't be. Yeah, no updates. Okay. So we're going to use that to show kind of how to begin our assembly. So just like in the real world, if we wanted to assemble different parts and put them together, right, we could screw them together, glue them together, nail them together. Any way that you can combine things, right, you would assemble it. So that's what it means by assembly. So what we're going to do is you might see assembly over here. I erased it, but if you do not, you're going to click this plus mark, and we're going to hit Create Assembly. And it'll open up a new assembly, and it looks like this, just a blank screen. So I'm going to go up here to Insert, and I'm going to insert my top. Now I don't have to import anything, it's just there by default. And it's moving around in free space. I'm just going to drop it so that it's sitting on our screen here. So all I did was click. Now in order to add the other parts, right, I have to find them. And similar to how you did your drawings, you'll have to go to Other Documents. I recommend going to Created by Me and finding side 1 and side 2. Now we're going to need 2 of each. So we'll click side 1, and it may ask you to create a new version. It didn't ask me because I already did this. So it's going to say, like, do you want to create V1? Again, just like your drawings, you'll just click create, and it'll create that version in this drawing. And unfortunately, it didn't ask me again. So I'm going to click. I no longer have it because I dropped one, but I need 2. So I'm going to drop 2 of them. So what that's saying is I want this side to be attached here, this side to be attached here, and then I'll hit this back to go back to Created by Me, and I'll find side 2. That one will go there. Click Part Studio 1 again. That one will go there. I'll hit the check mark, and you can see that these are floating in free space, maybe a little bit different than you expect. They're kind of all over the place. And that's because I just used this view cube and dropped them so that it looked right in this view. So it's going to take a lot of orienting this object in the correct orientation in order to assemble it. For the most part, all of your assembly tools are up here. So you have mate connector, fasten mate, revolute mate, geez, like a revolve mate, slider mate, planer, cylindrical, pin slot, and so on. Right? So we have a bunch of different mates, and those mates are saying you want to mate them or put them together. Okay. For the most part today, we're just going to use the fasten mate, especially for this one. You may have to use a different mate for your legs so that we can move our legs once we attach them to the top here. But simply put, our top becomes one solid, what's called a sub-assembly. So you'll have 2 sub-assemblies that come together, and you would put them together for the final assembly. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do is fasten mate, and you'll notice whenever you hover on these objects, you'll get this little blue, green, red axis system that pops up, right? And the trick behind this is you want to figure out which snapped to object here would line you up the best, right? So you could see I can snap to this center point, I can snap to the center point of this edge, the end point from this edge. So I think with this orientation and everything, our best bet is probably this outside edge, with the blue line sticking up. Clicking that, and then it's saying, okay, it wants another mate. So you want to join that to what? So I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to find that center point, make sure the blue is down because the blue is up on the other. And whenever I do that, you'll see that it will lock you in the right place, right? It's not always going to be perfect like that, but for this one, since we're saying we want that edge center point to meet up with that edge center point, it ends up being perfect as long as your dimensions are right. If this is too long, or if that's a little short, it means your dimensions are incorrect and you'll have to go back into your part and fix that. And it will update in here. But these buttons over here mean you can flip the primary axis, right? Well, we obviously don't want to do that. You can flip this so that it's oriented, you know, a different way. But again, we want it nice and flush along that edge there. So we'll hit the check and it'll lock it in place. Now I'm going to do the other edge here as well. So again, I'm going to move my mouse around. So just some basic movement. To move it like this, I'm right clicking on my mouse. You can right click on your touchpad and move around like that. You can use the view cube to click around. Right? The mouse wheel is in and out, or 2 fingers on your touchpad, but that's very sensitive. Right? If you have a mouse, it's a lot easier, but unfortunately not everybody does. So the next thing I'm going to do is find the same point on this object, so that would be right there. Right? So that edge could have been this one as well. Either or, because it's the same on both sides. And I'm going to find that center point edge and click there. Oh, so look at that. It doesn't quite line up. And that's because I picked the outside edge against the inside edge. So to fix that, I can use this reorient secondary axis. So I can spin that around, right? And it'll make it nice and flush. So I can hit the check mark. And we sort of have an assembly here, right? So our tabletop is no longer just the top, it's attached to 2 sides with holes in it. Right, now we need to attach this to here. So this one's the tricky part. There's a lot of different options here. I think our best is taking the edge of this piece. So if you're looking at it, right, the edge, and saying, I want this edge with the blue facing me right now to line up with, whoop, I still had one selected. There we go. So, okay, I want that edge to line up to that center point. So that edge center point to this center point. And unfortunately, it's going the wrong way. So what we can do is flip that primary axis, right? And say, no, I want it this way. I want it to line up in between here. And if I reorient the secondary axis, I can get it to flip into the right orientation too. Right? So it's just creating points for it to grab onto, and then you'll have to move it around in order to get it to line up. This isn't like this isn't something that I could teach you to click the right points every single time. It's kind of like experimenting. OnShape is a little bit different than Inventor, which is what we usually use in class. But again, it's going to take some experimentation. You just want to make sure you grab the right point to begin with. If you're having trouble, get rid of that mate over here and then fix it. Do something else. Do something different. Okay, so that one lines up nicely. Now I need to grab this one as well. So we'll say I want this point with the blue facing me. If I say that way, right, it's not going to attach the same way. It's going to attach to that side. So that blue arrow is kind of everything, or that blue axis is kind of everything for lining this up. So I want that to line up with this. So again, whenever I come here, I don't want to attach it to that because it'll attach it to the outside and it'll never line up. So I need to attach going this way, right? The way we want it to go. Flip the axis, reorient it, and not quite. We need to get that inside. Perfect. Just like that. All right, so if you notice that there's a small gap right here, it's because you didn't fix your dimensions. Your dimensions for side 2 should actually be 9.75. So this will be a revision. So I'll be giving you a revision to fix your drawings. And again, if this doesn't match up, that means you did not update your drawing. So you'll have to do that on the first day that I present this part of the class. Okay? So once you are done, you don't have to share it with me again because you've already shared it. Right? So this will be your top, and we're going to change the name to tabletop assembly. All right, so that's our lap desk. We'll say desktop assembly instead of tabletop. Desktop assembly. All right, so that's sub-assembly 1, and then tomorrow we'll get into sub-assembly 2. All right, good luck.